Yo, what's up, people?
What is that?
Hello.
Is that the
That is
extra
the
one?
intro.
Okay.
I'm so tired. I'm so over it this evening, man. Hi, welcome to Drop Gears. I'm not gonna introduce us. You see your names on the thing, but actually, oh no, wait, I do have to introduce us because there's special people who want to listen to us on Spotify and all that garbage. Hi, my name's Imports, a head admin of Evo. Next.
It's me, Lime. Hello. Vink. We're all
Vink.
sleeping today.
That was the actual one. Yeah, okay. Perfect. Great. Yeah, I'm shorty.
Yeah. And
Why are we
together, with our powers combined, we are Captain Planet or something of that effect.
I think
Um,
for once we are the podcast
we
trio
are the
or Evo
podcast.
with
Yes.
Evo in
Yeah.
Evo stuff.
Yes. Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for showing up. Last time we forgot to mention, I'll mention it this time. There is people live in the chat chatting, doing the chatting dings. Sometimes we will respond to them during the podcast. We will do our best to make sure to say who wrote the message and what they wrote for the people who are listening on Spotify, because obviously you can't see us physically. You were just listening to us with your gamer ears. So we will do our best to do that. Yeah.
I thought we
Now,
didn't want to do that. I thought we only want to do it at the end.
we kind of did it in between. I don't really care.
We did it last
It's
time, but
we just vibe whatever we want to do. So
yeah, I for once actually sorry about that, but I don't even have the chat open today because I have certain health reasons, so it's better for me not to look at chat. Which
Yeah,
sounds weird
true.
as fuck. I'm
Uh-huh.
still not gonna explain it because it's a story way too long, but anyway, I'm not looking into the chat.
Maybe we can have a podcast just dedicated to your story
yeah.
and
There's
raise awareness.
there's also a new emo out that's been literally prostituted around by Snippin, and it's the new Stashport emo. It's literally people just spamming my face with a mustache. But it's not even my mustache. It's a fake mustache. What is this? But
Is this because of the last podcast? I want to believe this is true.
yeah, it's because I think no, was it because of the last? I think it was because of the last podcast, because that's the first time people see me with like my actual like mustache.
Do you still have it? I heard
Mhm.
rumors.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It's still around. It looks actually progressively worse.
Oh,
So I'm looking very homeless right now. I need to like clean it
I
up a
I
smidge.
hope you look like it. I hope you're not homeless yet.
Not
But
homeless.
maybe if the comments and feedback that we got after last episode, one day we will throw you out.
Yeah, maybe.
Talking too much.
Yeah. I need to shut up. All right,
No.
so Lime,
Yeah, tell me.
take it away.
Well, like
He doesn't know.
that took
Uh-oh.
me by surprise. Man, I'm still asleep. I don't know why. I slept the whole evening. It's really bad. But yeah, we had to discuss the TM World Tour Superweek recap. You guys watched all the
We
games?
have to.
Actually,
I thought we want to.
oh, see,
Not the same.
I tried to watch as much as I could, but there were many moments where I had to get out, like do things in real life things, and so I couldn't. But I saw a few matches. It surprised me, you know. I saw the level of the teams, and they weren't as like there were some discrepancies on how well a team was doing and like how well another team was doing. But the games overall were really good. I saw the level. I believe there is more to come. It's gonna be interesting. What do you guys
Oh,
think?
yeah.
What happened to
Yeah, we
Afi
get
Yeah.
on ice?
Yeah, I also didn't watch that much, to be honest. I tried. I mean, you know why, but I kind of struggled with that a little bit as well. So I tried to watch as many matches as I could. I watched, I think, 3 matches or so. Um, yeah,
The
it's
matches that. Oh no, continue.
yeah, the matches are really. I feel like the new format and everything, it's just making sense. Like obviously, I was a little bit distracted by watching everything, but overall, I do like everything about it. I think we could argue and discuss and I don't know what you thought about it or think about it, but an ace giving you 3 to 0 points is a lot. But to be fair, I'm not even sure if it's a good or a bad thing. Like personally, from gameplay, like player point of view, I would probably as a player would not like it. But for the spectator point of view, I think it's pretty nice. And it can lead to it can be interesting, you know. It's a so and so thing. Like some matches or some maps will be better because of it, and some maps may be a bit boring because of it. If that's kind of my takeaway from that. But it's
You have a
totally fair. It makes a lot
50-50.
of sense.
You have a 50-50 in that regard. It's either way, it's gonna be like super interesting, exciting and stuff, and then it's gonna be like, yeah, this is what we expected, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about that in particular. I wouldn't mind if it would be 2-0 instead of 3-0 only, because that's big of enough of a gap anyway. Like if you do a win, then you get 2-1, so you basically gain 1 point on the opponents. But if you ace, you get 3 instead of 2.
Yeah.
I sure, why not? I didn't dislike it, but I also didn't especially like it. Like matches can I don't know, it can, like, you can go from a really close, maybe let's say if it's 5-5, yeah, or even worse, it's 6-6, and all of a sudden a really close map, after one ace is basically gonna be over instantly already, instead of taking like 2 or 3 more rounds and being closer. It's like those kind of scenarios could happen. But otherwise, on the flip side, of course, one team could be far behind and because of an ace be back in the match again. So it's so and so. It's both, kinda.
I think the bigger like problem more than anything else is the fact that there's no punishment for not finishing. Um, there were way too many games where they were decided, or like just each round is decided uh, solely based on the first 3 people finishing, and the last person doesn't really matter. So oftentimes you would see every single round the first 3 people finishing, and you would just see the last person typically like quote unquote try to finish but not enthusiastically, or sometimes just DNFing in general, which was very anticlimactic and boring. So for me personally, I think what would be a better change is forcing a penalty if you don't finish. So if you don't finish, right now the way the points go is that if my brain will properly remind itself, it's 4 points for right or no, it's 3 points for first, 2 points for second, 1 point for third, and then 0 for fourth. You would
That's
just
not how
bump
the
all those.
system looks, no?
Yeah, but that shouldn't be really the case. The issue of a draw isn't necessarily the problem. It's the issue is that it makes fourth place like absolutely useless. And I think you should make fourth place worthwhile. So players should be forced to get a draw. If that fourth place player does not um, get that last place position and they just DNF, then the other team should get a victory at that point. That's my opinion. Because we're in the like
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
totally get that. It's not. I didn't really focus on that, but I did notice it as well, and I didn't particularly like it. It didn't annoy me as much as it did you, apparently. But
It
it
didn't
it, it,
really
it
annoy me. It was just
no, I know,
something
no,
I
I know. It's
noticed.
definitely a negative that you don't have to finish necessarily. But I guess they kind of maybe they have that rule. So if one player is like really far behind, you don't have an extra 20 seconds at the end of the round where you watch someone trying to finish, which on that level, if he wants to finish, he probably will finish anyway. So you can go quicker to the next round. That actually matters again. Maybe that was the idea behind it, but just rule wise, I just don't like it as well. I agree there that you should be forced to finish, or the other way around. There should be a penalty for not finishing.
I mean, the idea of the whole competition and it's to finish. It's always the same thing. So not finishing in a competition like this just because it doesn't impact the end result of the point. It's just contradictory to what they are trying to portray as a competition. It's just because it doesn't give you point, it doesn't alter the end result. Okay, I'm not finishing. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna put all the pressure on my teammate so he can get ace all the time, as some teams were doing on the regionals, and then that's it. I think I believe that it would be a great idea to maybe penalize or at least make it a draw when you got your teammate at first and then the opposite team on the second and then the last one. It has to do something. It cannot be just that. It's too empty, you know.
I
How did
guess
you like it overall?
Is
Like
this something that I
feeling
didn't
wise?
think when they show out the point system? I was like, oh yeah, it makes totally sense, you know. But when you see it actually in competition, it's like, maybe this could have been uh, work around better, or maybe that was the end decision that they were like, yeah, this is gonna be the best of the best. Who
Well,
knows?
I have a question.
Hmm.
Um, I think majority of the entire community agrees, competitive, casual, and you name it, pretty much agrees that Trackmania World Tour is like a really good thing, and the competition is a great step forward. But the execution is missing.
Mm.
Would you both be more inclined to make changes as you go along? Or are you the type of individual that's, we made the format the way it is, that's how it's going to be, and then we're going to wait a full year before if we want to do any changes?
I
Depends
believe
on the
the
change.
yeah, the faster that you do the changes, the better. If you're seeing that the thing is not working at the moment, why would you wait a year, in order to change it? It's better to practice now that Trackmania it's in baby steps. It's a way better to do as many changes now so you don't make the mistake later in the future when the game is established and everyone already knows the rules. It's in League of Legends something like that happened and they are still waiting to make format changes, and you see that the community is not happy with it and waiting so long. So I believe that the faster that you make the changes, the better. You have more room to make mistakes, and people are not gonna be mad at you for trying.
If you can make a change immediately, then obviously you should do it. Obviously, there are certain things and certain rules that probably in the middle of a competition you can't change those anymore because that would impact or have an impact on the already played matches. At least in this kind of league format, like you can't just, for example, change the structure of how matches are going to be played now because you already played matches in a certain way before. Or it depends really. Like some like point system, for example, you could still tweak that. I feel like, but it's maybe a bit controversial with point system already. But other stuff like behind the scenes stuff, if you notice something is wrong there, or if you find a mistake on the map after first matches, you're obviously going to fix those anyway. Like that's already has been done before. But what I wonder, you're asking that question, is there something that you would like change now? Like, is there like a big change? Because it sounds as if you like absolutely don't like the new system or something like that.
No, 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 no. I think for me, my major criticisms rely in like the regional tournaments and everything, not so much in TMGL itself. So that's another topic entirely. Like for me, it would make more sense because, like we were talking with the last place being useless and everything,
Mm.
that would be a change I would make immediately, because that's really anticlimactic for the viewers. That can affect potentially viewership numbers. That could affect the way people view the competition in some ways, especially if it's like down to the wire, where it's really close, but then it's already decided because the first three people finished, and so it doesn't like I think that would be like something that I would change. But then follow up question. I won't I have to bring up the drama because it exists, and if you didn't know, if you do live under a rock, here I got you. I'm here for you. Um, there, what would you do as a tournament organizer if a participating organization was being detrimental potentially to your brand, with how they were behaving streaming your game, and just overall the lack of respect for the game and the community?
Yeah, so maybe we should also name it. You mean the cast from G1?
Not just the single cast, but both casts.
Okay,
Yeah, I
can you
did.
give me more context because I actually didn't listen to that at the I don't know what happened, so I cannot have an opinion if I didn't listen. Sorry, I live under a rock.
It makes sense because also the people that are listening to us, they are
Yeah.
not necessarily aware of it. Like,
So
you know, so
yeah,
go
all
ahead.
right. I got you. So um there's no clips, but basically all you need to do is just go watch a G1 stream for 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes. You will see immediately that the stream will consist of, well, it depends on which one you go to. So you have their main stream, which I believe is Odablock. He is a RuneScape streamer, known to be pretty extra, I guess would be, or eccentric would be the term. I guess would be the better term to use. So he's very eccentric. Has a very specific kind of viewer base that enjoys chaos, I guess would be the best term. So you have him, and then you have the G1 Live stream, which would be the CEO, who is Savage, I believe is his name, um, who is running the G1 Live, and that stream will consist of him messing with settings, not being able to get into the match, and then ultimately streaming Odablock stream as the stream. So Odablock is streaming the actual game. He's actually in the actual match, um, with what he set as his. And I'm not joking. There's images. It's literally everywhere. You can just find it. And like Trackmania Discord, there's a huge discussion in it in the Trackmania Discord and the TMWT general channel, where Odablock had his game title set to Trashmania
Oh,
for a solid part of an hour or so, before finally, I think it was Softy who DM'd him and said, "Why are you not changing this?" Um, there was that, and then there was tobacco usage, like massive tobacco usage. By the way, Trackmania, I know a majority of us are adults, but Trackmania is a game that is technically geared towards children.
yeah.
So to tobacco use in general, they were using dip tobacco use. I I don't care about swearing in general, but excessive swearing, especially when you're representing a brand, a community, and a game, is something that I think is entirely unprofessional in this regard. And so we're talking excessive swearing, literally dropping like f bombs like every 5 seconds, not even 5 minutes, but every 5 seconds. What else? There's a list.
You know what? When now it's the doubt that I have is like, isn't that Trackmania have to do research of the brand
They did
that they
none.
run? They did not. They didn't do that. I mean, what you're telling me now, what they did on the stream, to me is like they didn't even try to do a research on these people that are on the TMGL. You know, it doesn't even make sense to have an organization that is tearing down your game. Like, why do you have them?
Yeah,
It doesn't even make sense. I mean, for me, as if I was Trackmania, I will probably reach out to them, say, "Hey, this is not good," and if they don't change or anything, penalties, you know. And in the end, if they truly don't give a fuck about it, just get out of the tournament, you know, because you
They
cannot
must.
have a team like that.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, they don't know. So another aspect of it that production reminded me, which I should remember because I'm part of the group that got donut walled. It's not like they didn't have people reach out to them to try to help them have a decent production. So one, their production was also garbage. They like literally messing with their stream settings. They couldn't get anything going. For the first like especially the first day on Saturday, they were having trouble getting into the game. Savage wasn't
Mhm.
able to get into the game on the second day, so he ended up streaming a POV of Odablock stream, which is ugh.
I just find
um
it very funny. I mean, not really funny, but how 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 much inter you can literally everything you said, obviously, but if you opened the stream, you would have noticed that his camera was positioned at the top left, which is exactly where the round scores show, like in which order the players finished, which is basically like so just by the positioning of the camera already, he basically showed that he doesn't know and doesn't care about it at all. Like
yeah.
how do you position the camera there? How do you not notice at least that? Like what the fuck? Like that's
So
some
they
basic
really didn't
stuff
give a
that is not
fuck
even
about
Trackmania
anything.
related.
Oh my god.
No, they didn't. They yeah. So a bunch of streamers, casters, including myself and other notable casters such as G Geek and Turbo and a couple others, try, tried to reach out to G1. I personally wrote, and I mean, I shared my stuff with Turbo, saying, "Hey, like." We really are interested in knowing what G1's plan for TMGL is. Um, and we would love to be able to help out. Everybody got dono walled. Nobody received a response. Thank you, production, for bringing out an important part of being part of TMGL and TMWT in general is that all participants and production brought up a rule book, and I'm going to read this little section for you guys. All participants of the Trackmania World Tour are expected to behave in an appropriate and respectful manner towards other participants, spectators, and the admins, and avoid any conduct which interrupts or disrupts the general flow of the tournament. Players and team representatives must always act professionally and may not curse, taunt, or use vulgar or inappropriate language. Players and team representatives are expected to treat all members of Trackmania World Tour staff and sponsors with respect. What we saw last weekend
Has
was
no respect at all.
was missing entirely. And when interviewed, I will say short interview, I went into G1 Savages, the CEO's chat, and just asked a simple question. I said, "Hey, what was your plan what was occurring with your guys' plan for casting? There were a lot of casters who were willing to help you with production at free or little cost." And quote, and I quote, he said, "We don't need no casters. We are enough." That, and, oh yeah, and then there's another section here that says lack of respect and provocation, including verbal insults or insulting gestures or defamation, is also not allowed.
Yeah, and in moments like this, I mean, what you've seen on other games when stuff like this happens usually comes with penalties. Usually the organizations post a communique saying, "Hey, what we did is not good. I want to try to work on it for the better next time." Blah 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 blah. But if the organization itself doesn't want to improve or do anything, then I think the best idea is just to get rid of them because an organization like that is just here for fun and tearing down the game, it doesn't make sense. I think that they're taking this as a joke and not as professionally. No, yeah, professional as it should be. So when when stuff like that happens, you just have to cut ties with organizations like that, and hopefully organizations like this shouldn't even exist in the first time.
I really don't know what their plan was as well. I don't know. I
There wasn't a
think
plan.
yeah, maybe there just wasn't a plan, especially for the stream. I mean, they must have been interested in Trackmania to some degree at least, because why else would they decide, hey, let's go into Trackmania? Like there must be some interest there, and I highly assume they are paying for the players, so financially already, there must be. I think they just don't care about the cast, maybe, but. I mean, here's what I think what Nadeo is gonna do. Obviously, I don't expect any public statement from Nadeo because that's not how Nadeo works. That just
No, they don't.
yeah, exactly. You don't really get public statements for these things, and if you get them like
No, but I meant
2 months
as like
later.
their organization, G1, saying, "Hey, we got your feedback. We noticed that we did something wrong and it wasn't liking by the public, and I'm gonna do. I don't know. We're gonna work and try to do better next time." But
I mean, that's how you have to do it. You can't just kick them out
yeah,
instantly. I mean, they're just gonna. I think Nadeo's gonna tell. I mean, the Softy apparently already DM'd him about the title stuff. Or whoever was that, they're definitely going to tell them, and I don't know if they're even going to fine them for that. I don't know. I mean, they must have some contract between Nadeo and
they
G1, and
do.
maybe they're going to fine them for that. I,
Mm.
I, I probably would,
I do
if I
have
can. You
you.
know, I mean, it was so bad. It's not like they did something wrong here or like a small not small thing, but you know what I mean. Like maybe like apparently he also didn't even talk about Trackmania, but about other games all this time. Like imagine he would have done a more or less normal cast, like not a title, like normal title, normal camera setup, and then just not talking about Trackmania. That would be for me a small thing where I would be like, yeah, please stop doing that. But with so much wrong at the same time and some of it like being really major, uh, yeah, I would definitely want to have a chat with them about that for sure.
Yeah. Well, the like Kisla wrote in the chat, and I'll read what he said. He said, "I was watching one of their streams on Rocket League afterwards, and it was a nice professional cast. So it's only Trackmania that they don't seem to care about." I also watched that, and I noticed I was like, "Wow, the Rocket League cast is really nice compared to what dumpster fire I saw on over the weekend." So it just seems like a really weird move. I mean, as G1 comes from a Halo Call of Duty background, like I mentioned last weekend, and they have NFL money. Um, but how they got to Trackmania is a question
Unknown.
is completely unknown. We don't know if they approached Nadeo or Nadeo was desperate to find a North American team to at least have check the representation mark and like reach out to them. I don't think Nadeo would ever do that, but you never know. Um, but yeah, it's just the whole relationship is really weird. And the fact that they have so little care or regard for our community and just like care just to find out what our community does. I mean, the stream in general was like Odablock or Savage being like, bro, why are these it was so funny, dude. It was so funny when they were going in warm up. Like I think it was on Saturday when they were doing warm ups. I could you not. I think it was Savage, the CEO, was like, bro, look at this other team being so disrespectful. They're driving around in circles doing warm up while our team is taking it seriously during warm up and driving the track. If you don't know what Trackmania is, you know that nobody gives a crap about the warm up.
Mind them not knowing that though. Like that's for me is fine. You know, like it's the first cast. I don't expect them to necessarily know that. Like if I would be, I kind of feel like probably Oda didn't even want to stream Trackmania, but because the Nadio requires each org to have their own stream, he kind of got forced into that. So they were like, yeah, well, let's just, yeah, fuck it, let's just put it through, or I don't know. But if I would have to cast a game that I don't know, I would play the game. Maybe I would watch some old esports, but you're not gonna find out about the warm up stuff
It
through
feels
that, so that's
like
fine for me.
it feels like they were just yeah, we have to cast this game. How is it called? Trackmania. Oh yeah, Trackmania. What they do? What? Like the whole stream was like question mark all over the place and just tearing down the game. It seems to me. Why were you guys talking? What happened there? So it's like, why are you in this game when you don't even care? Like, what is the point? What's the point of doing that?
Scanning when they only cared about what the branding on the sign. I think they were more obsessed with branding than anything else. They're like, oh, look at that sick branding on the sign. It would be great to have G1 branding on the sign. So I
Uh,
think so. Whoever pointed, I think it was you, Lime, who said it was about like the branding thing and like just getting their name out. Yeah, it definitely was. I think that's because that's all they talked about, the branding and like how great their G1 car skin was.
Yeah, but as a PR person, the branding that they're trying to make with Trackmania now it's just going down by what
It's
they
a
did on
yeah.
this stream, you know. Right now, if you ask me, oh, what do you think about G1? It's like, why an organization that doesn't even care about a game, you know, stuff like that.
Last funny thing that I just now remembered. There's a screenshot. Maybe Snippin has it. Maybe you can post it in chat. Um, there is a screenshot that from Odablock's stream of his moderator coming in. I think it's Odablock's stream, or maybe it was G1 live stream. It doesn't matter. Either way, same work. Moderator comes in and he legit says, "What is this Mario Kart from Wish shit?"
Oh well, I'm very
It was
interested to see how
great.
that is gonna pan out
Uh,
because that's definitely not the last book spoken there.
Oh man. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting
Yeah,
to watch this weekend. So like if you have time, just hop over in that stream for 5 to 10 minutes and I mean
actually,
I personally I don't want to see to put it in perspective, I don't want G1 to um be bullied. Like I
oh
think
no, of course not.
and I don't want like G1 to stay in this route. I want G1 to actively give a crap, and I want them to make the changes necessary to have a decent stream. If they want to have Savage and Oda block still, fine, whatever. If they want to be a little chaotic, that's also fine. But do your due diligence and understand what this community is at least, and understand that we can't just be like you can't just like disregard the community and how everything is. Also, don't call it a cast. A watch party is not a cast. Call it a watch party.
yeah, or find somebody that is actually interested in the game. Like obviously, I think there should be a statement apologizing for that because the disrespect. But if your streamer doesn't want to stream the game, yeah, well then maybe find someone else that actually wants to stream it
Yeah.
and cast it. You know, like I also wouldn't be I wouldn't be very happy about having to cast a game I know nothing about and don't basically don't care about. But even then, you wouldn't do it like that, of course. But then just maybe find someone that wants to do it. It's you know it's a great opportunity for somebody, and I feel like it's wasted if that's the result and if that's I mean they kind of showed how, at least he himself, you know, or basically showed how much he cares about Trackmania. So I kind of feel like no matter how and what you're gonna tell him, it's not like all of a sudden, oh, now I like the game. Like I kind of feel like that's not gonna happen.
Yes.
So
We're moving into the results.
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the results now. We're done with this subject. I'm happy now.
Actually,
I will shut
I
up
want
for
to.
the
I
rest
want
of
to.
this.
No, I want to. Before we move on to the matches, I want to say because it really sounded like we're kind of shitting on it, but I really wanted to say that even while I had like limited, I didn't watch that much, and I was kind of not fully focused on the matches because other stuff. I've I'm really happy about this season, and I'm really happy about the format, and I'm really, really fucking glad that we finally have something that is competitively fair for the players and at the same time also interesting to watch because we've waited quite a bit for it. I'm not trying to shame Nadir for taking so long because it's not easy finding the mixture that they wanted to find, but I feel like we finally found it, and I'm just happy from player not only from player point of view but also from spectator. Looking at social media and everything like that as well. Like if you scroll through Twitter, I feel like it interests me way more now that it's
Hmm.
fair than before. Because before I was
Yeah.
like, oh well, whatever. It's because everyone, if you know about Trackmania, then you knew that the formats weren't ideal and that stuff. At least before the finals, like the group stage. I mean, I'm calling it group stage, but it's not group stage, but you know what I mean. It just nobody really gave a fuck about it that much. I feel like,
Yeah, I
and
think
now I think you can actually start to grow on that and not have to change and find a new format each time because the one you tried didn't end up working, and now it finally does.
I mean, I think everybody agree like and I mentioned it before. I think everybody agrees that the format in general and the move for TMWT is great, and I'm also of the exact same opinion as you. I'm very happy with how like things have turned for Trackmania Esports. I think it's very exciting. And I think it's really just down to the execution, more just the execution of the rules more than anything else. I think that's everybody's gripes. It's just mainly the rules. You have a rule book, and the rule book is, rather than it being a physical and useful rule book, it's more subjective, where some rules are taken seriously and others are not. And then sometimes rules that are in the rule book don't even matter, and they don't exist after 2 weeks because an individual decided they don't care anymore, or now a new rule is added because individual, usually it's not new rules, but that goes into the regional tournaments. Happened this last weekend. It was the Middle East Africa region and the North Central and South America region. And we have our first
Let's
region up
go
here.
Chile.
And you have the Middle East Africa region, and there were only there were only 6 teams that participated. To be fair, that's kind of expected. Majority coming from Turkey, and then I think there was one Moroccan player and several South African players, if I remember correctly. But the winners were F10. That was Birdie and Chemko, I believe it was. Birdie, TM, and Chemko, who won an F10, and then second place was also another Turkish team, Molotov Gaming. Those really were the two main competitive duos of the entire tournament, anyways. So that is the result for that one. Did anybody watch this at all, or was it just me?
No,
But I didn't
I
really watch.
wasn't.
Okay,
I,
so
I watched I watched the Evo cast for a little bit, but after like, I think maybe half an hour or so, I stopped.
I
yeah,
actually didn't know the schedule for this, and then suddenly I was watching the regionals from the North American, South American, and I saw a game, a friend playing it, and I was like, okay, well, we're gonna stay here, I guess. I watched it like until the end, but no, MA regional, I couldn't watch it. I didn't know.
To be fair, apart from the EU region, the other two regions are definitely behind,
Mm,
at least in Trackmania. Like you have maybe a couple of special players, but overall, Trackmania used to be EU based for so long, and only
yes.
with the new game now, the North America, like America in general, is getting like actual big. and all the other regions are just, it's not the focus of it. I mean, Nadeo is a French company, you know, I don't think they are marketing the game anywhere outside of Europe, if they are even marketing at all. I feel like, I mean, that's why you have the esports scene, right? Like that's the marketing. So
Well,
it's maybe in a couple of years you're gonna have like some really fucking good players from America, giving the others a run for the money. But overall, right now the pro scene is still mainly based in EU, and that's what we are also going to see in the EU regionals this weekend. It's going to
yeah,
be way more competitive.
yeah. I mean, in a way, you're right. I mean, it is still very much EU centric. I mean, a production posted the stat in chat. Middle East Africa only had 6 teams. North Central South America had 22 teams, and EU is already at 100 plus teams registered. It's going to be a very big and long tournament this weekend. That's starting on Saturday.
It's actually going to be super long, right?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be over 2 days, and I think the original plan was to have a double elimination, but I think it's only gonna be single elimination, which kind of sucks for somebody like for pretty much all the teams because if I mean luckily it's a best of 5, but still if you get unlucky in your matching and your seeding and everything, and seeding is completely based upon your matchmaking rating between you and your teammate and the average of your matchmaking rating, um which a lot of teams have not taken that seriously. So there's going to be there's some teams that have already decided that they are just going to get gold 1 and then um play offline and scrim and hunt offline the entire time. So there's going to be several
Yeah.
teams that are going to be really in a weird seed but may be in a better position. I mean, Evo, for example, in NCSA, Evo did not play matchmaking at all. They were the very bottom seed. But and it really did mess up matchmaking all around because the seeding in North America and NCSA was like really weird. But to your topic about the NA scene, there's a lot of North American orgs showing interest, especially this year coming into TMWT, uh, and they're picking up random duos in North America. We've seen Damascus Gaming come in, Final Form came in. From South America, although it's kind of weird, I don't understand the whole reason behind it. But Ninjas in Pajamas it picked up a Brazilian duo. Um, so yeah, there's some interesting moves, especially
Okay.
with that. But this year and especially this format is perfect for pushing new teams forward into North America. And I think a lot of teams, especially from like smaller mid major like games like Rocket League, the majority of these teams are from Rocket League. So I think they are kind of trying to move into the space, and I think that may have something to do with Hunted and Leechy. I don't know what kind of influence they have, but they are Rocket League casters. That's where they come from, and maybe they have some type of influence in regards to that and brought it over here as well. So
Yeah, I could read that their audience, because usually when you have audience and you have supporters, they support you everywhere you go. So if their main audience was a Rocket League, they probably were interested in Trackmania, and they also probably know more organizations, and they were like, hey, you know what, we're gonna have this tournament. We can send a team from our organization, see what happens, see how it goes, and just try it out just for the sake of trying and then not expecting anything more. That's
So
what.
pretty similar.
Mm,
I remember when Rocket League came out, the first couple of months and probably even now, a lot of really good Trackmania players were also kind of good at Rocket League. And it usually, if you played for like one evening, the chances were there that you would find someone in matchmaking, and you're like, wait a minute, I know this guy from Trackmania.
Yep.
So that happened multiple times and very often, and I feel like that's also maybe in the viewer base and in the kind of headspace in general that Trackmania and Rocket League are very similar games. Obviously, with Rocket League,
Yeah.
you do have at least some kind of strategy that in Trackmania is very minimal, but overall, I mean, it's very skill-based games. It's both about cars. I feel like if you're having a Rocket League team, then obviously it means you kind of like Rocket League or interested in Rocket League, and the same probably goes with Trackmania then, because the games are pretty close. The chances
feel
are high that
like
if you like one, you also maybe like the other.
Yeah.
I feel like with Trackmania, it's gonna happen something similar that happened with the CS:GO and Valorant, for example. Many CS:GO pros and people, they start migrating to Valorant, and they also their people start migrating as well. So maybe with Rocket League, it's gonna be the same. Many people that are iconic in their game it's gonna come to Trackmania, and that also is gonna have like a migration of new pro players that are gonna come to Trackmania as well. And I don't see that something being bad. It's gonna give us a huge door uh, to be observed, to be like attention. It's gonna have a lot of attention. And since the two games are so similar, I think the level it's gonna keep up. I think from now on, Trackmania is just going up. It's really hard for me to see Trackmania going down from now on with how the tournament is going, how are they organizing everything. I like what I see, and seeing all this organization at least trying, putting their names out there, putting their players out there, and then seeing what happening.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up an interesting point though, with the relation between like Rocket League and Trackmania. They both hit the same genre. They are both arcade spoofs essentially of the real sport, right? You have the arcade racing game Trackmania, and you have the arcade soccer game Rocket League. So, just kind of thought about that when you were bringing the relationship to kind of just bring it all together. So they both hit it. They call it soccer because American soccer.
Soccer?
Anyways,
Nah, it's football.
I mean, you're not. I mean, I'm obviously born and raised in Germany. Um, Did you? I mean, I don't. I think the original, not Rocket League, but the original game. The name is way too long of that game. But it was
it's
an old
like
PlayStation game. Like that's what it's based off. I think that's even older. But for so many people, like at least in Germany, there was there was this game show in TV where they put real cars and one big inflated ball.
Oh, yeah, I
And they
remember.
literally what they basically did is they made Rocket League in real life before Rocket League existed, but the other game before Rocket League existed. So, but still, like that's like I always have to think about that, like especially when you try to make that reference to football. That in my head, I see me as a I don't know 13, 14-year-old boy before the TV watching two grown-up men sitting in cars and just ramming against the ball and trying to shoot goals with that. That's basically what Rocket League is, just as a game, and
Yep.
and maybe a bit more complex and a
Yeah,
bit more
supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle
obvious.
cars was the name.
Amazing
What is
name,
that
by the way.
name, dude?
I think
It's
Saab or something like that is the short term. Or
yeah, SARBs is the
yeah, or something like that.
acronym. Yeah, really ugly. I'm glad they just changed it to Rocket League. That was a smart PR move for that.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, so yeah, that so the NA results, Damascus won. They came in first. That was kind of no surprise there. That is the duo of Nixotica and Neil. They are the favorite for North America.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're the favorite for North America. They're the number one seed, unsurprisingly. Second is a bit controversial, 100% Canadians, and it's a joke because they're not actual Canadians. They are French players who are just happening to be studying in Canada. They're not even Quebec.
Cool. I was confused as well. I was like, wait a minute. I don't remember that guy being Canadian.
Yeah, that's basically like me vibes saying I'm German. So
Is that allowed? Because I actually had the doubt because oh wait, I can well right now I'm living in Germany, so I can change my country to Germany, but I'm not German. So uh, is that allowed by the game?
I
Because
think
this
it
is what
matters
happened
where
to
you
them.
live. So in this case, although for me it's weird as a content creator, right, or a caster, where like if I were to be like in the TMGL bubble, which I am, if they required a regional lock per se, I mean technically because I'm not a player, it wouldn't really matter. But I could either apply as an American or as a European because I'm physically in Europe, but I'm still an American. And I think this is kind of the case for the 100% Canadian duo. They could have played in Europe because they are both French citizens, but I think Nadio opted to go for the local route. So if you are living in that area, that is where you are supposed to be. Um,
Mhm.
so I think in that's why they are in here, which to them I think is beneficial for them because they get the benefits of being French players with the culture of being very competitive and having that raised skill level compared to other nationalities. I think within Trackmania, I think Germany has it too, but just not to the beehive that the French community is. And then you have the advantage of having a smaller region and not so sorry, it's true, not so skilled regions such as NCSA,
Yeah, that's
where
true.
it's it's more free reign. I mean, you have 100% Canadians. You had Air Green, which is an interesting duo that was Meloya and oh man, what's the other guy's name? He's Brazilian. Manu, is that his?
Manox.
Manox. There we go. Manox and Air Green. Final form is the name is escaping me. Yes, Novastar and who's the other person? I can't think of the other person. And
We did this.
ah, Novastar and Hondro. Hello, Hondro, like well known, like pretty well known American player. So Novastar and Hondro, in my opinion, honestly, they would be second seed. And I think really everybody expected Final Form and Damascus to be at the end, but the way seeding landed, Damascus and Final Form met up in the Final Four on the upper bracket side. So unfortunately for them, they were they met too early, and I think they would have ended up playing against each other. Then you have Halcyon Dairy, which was man, there it's North and Hydro, and Halcyon Dairy. And then the other teams, the air teams, are a bunch of South American players. There's some Chile players in
Hey,
there for
come
Reline.
on.
I mean,
Come
there's so
on.
many South American players in the air team, and honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't too impressed by any of them.
Yeah, it's Nat and Charles. They are both like, really good. Come
Charles
on.
and Nats were
And then we
okay.
have Doggery and Camper. And then there was a bunch of Argentinians that I actually don't know. But it, I'm gonna say this really biased opinion. Nat and Charles, and they are our representatives, and I'm really happy for their performance. I was cheering up for them. I'm really happy that I didn't got banned from the chat for saying so many things in Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think overall that they were necessarily worse compared to the rest of competition, especially like Charles and Nats from Air White. I think they were like the most competitive South
Yes,
American
yeah.
duo. Them and Air Green, although Air Green's like Meloyage Jamaican and Manox is Brazilian. But I mean, those were like they were fairly competitive. Air Green finished third, tied with Final Form. So I think overall they did a good job. There were some teams in the in the lower bracket that could have made it but didn't. Like I think Evo could have made it had Don't Care actually trained.
Yeah,
Um
but he didn't care about it. Oh, sorry.
yeah, well, he did care in a way, but at the same time, it was funny because like the realization dawned on him. He's like, "Oh, maybe I should have trained him. We actually would have done really well." And then he felt
Oh,
bad
really?
afterwards. And
but
honestly, he
that's
should have felt bad because it was kind of embarrassing to have our team being highlighted on the very last game against Halcyon Blue, I think it was, and or maybe it was Halcyon Dairy, but like having that game highlighted and then don't care messing up on back and forth, not knowing the actual start. That was kind of a yayo type of moment. So,
even
um,
knowing that is
to be fair, he started a new job. Yeah, I guess real life priorities, gross, disgusting, not allowed. But
nah, but I know what you mean. He should have at least, tried the maps to know the way
he could have
and
looked at a
strats. But
ghost
that
like
should be, that should at least be the minimum, like the minimum amount of train where you can at least
he,
compete. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, it's kind of. I get that he didn't have time. I'm not saying that he should have allocated his time differently. I'm not him. I don't know how it was for him, but
He could have watched the world record in
you
that.
would have
yeah.
at least want, like technically speaking, you would at least want that minimum amount of train where you can at least, like finish without a crash. Like
You
that's
can
basically the minimum that you usually want to do, and everything above that is depending on how dedicated you are. And
don't care is a level is a very skilled player, and it drives me nuts, especially with some North American players, and this is why I dislike my region in general. Is because it's a 4-1 region, and just the approach to gaming and competitive nature, which is really weird because Americans are very competitive, but when it comes to like the younger generation of competitive, I say younger, they're like in their like early mid 20s, both of them, DC and CD, but like there is a very laissez-faire, like kind of like whatever bro, is gonna happen, whatever happens, which is like in a way a really good way to like mentally approach it, but it sucks when it comes to like the people who are taking it like giga seriously. And sometimes it's a clash. So for both CD and DC, for them as a duo, they're perfectly fine. But if like if they were matched with anybody else, like if CD was matched, I think CD matched with like a super competitive player, I think that was fine because CD actually trained. If DC was matched with a competitive player who took it way too seriously, that would have been an instant clash immediately. And I think overall, just 5 to 10 minutes on a per map, you're talking 10 maps, and you're really, if you're just going to auto ban one map, that's 9 maps that you have to spend 9 minutes. So maybe a 45-minute session of just discovering all the maps. All you need is 5 to 10 minute per map. And a player of DC's caliber who is very just inevitably is not the word, but inherently is the word I'm looking for, inherently skilled at the game, where he's able to pick things up very rapidly and just understand the mechanics because he's been playing the game for so long. That's all he needed to spend was 45 minutes to get accustomed to every single part of the game. He could look at the records. So in my opinion, there is no excuse. Anyways,
hopefully for the next regional he can do that. Let's just hope that. But
yeah, hopefully for the next regional, which he said he felt bad, and he is going to train more. Whether that happens or not, we will see.
yeah,
But
very
Gonna
funnily,
support my
yeah, go
my
ahead.
South American team.
I mean, since we're talking about stats, maybe just maybe I know I'm going very experimental with this, but since we talked about how the regionals went, maybe we should also talk about how the actual World Tour went. Just maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
we can go over that. That's cool.
yeah. So I mean, it's obviously, even if it was the Super Week and you had more matches than you usually would have, like you had to double the amount. It's basically nothing is decided yet because it's super close. You have PDS as the only team that won both matches, and then you have basically, I don't remember now at the top of my head who was the team that didn't like lost both. Was it Sinners?
It was
Yeah, yeah, it
Sinners.
was Sinners.
I'm
Um,
I'm in the mud, bro.
yeah, but basically, but all other 6 teams all are 1-1 in matches so far, which is basically saying it's gonna be extremely fucking close. And I also don't think that Sinners, like, I mean, they did underperform to what they can do, so I don't think you can write them off yet as well. I think
Yeah, I
they
mean,
they
first
still
game
have
was
good chances as
close.
well.
The first game was close for them between them and Karmine Corp. It was 4-2, but really should have been like it really should have went down to the last game because it was super close. Two of the maps it was just like a coin flip at the very end because they were
Yeah.
like in match point position for both games. And then what happened in Big, I just don't know what happened because they were gifted in the very first map like two aces in a row and a victory, and then they threw back two aces in a row and a victory right back to Big, and I think it. Uh,
That's enough.
Granati, no. Granati's foot pedal, yeah, it broke, but that didn't affect the second game. Granati had brand new foot pedals in the second.
Yes.
Yeah, so the first loss we can point for Big was we can point to Granati's daggone foot pedals. He's always having issues with his foot pedals.
No.
Get
You,
good
you,
foot
you, you
pedals,
can't
man.
you can't say they lost because of that. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
it made it really hard for Granadi to continue playing, but you can't say automatically because you don't. They clearly weren't the favorites either way. Maybe they had chances technically, of course, and those chances were obviously ruined by the thing broken. But just saying, yeah, they lost the match because of that is also maybe a little bit wrong. I mean,
No,
it
that's
happened
too
mid-match and they
much.
were already behind as well.
Uh,
So, but yeah, that obviously it's not it's not helping you if your foot pedal is breaking. The first fucking time that like, I mean, I want to say this because Granadi goes to Arcadia, forgets his foot pedal.
Yep.
How?
Yep.
First of all, how?
Yep.
Then Granadi goes
Preach.
goes to the big house to like have this training thing with Masa. I don't remember what it was, but he
wait,
actually
what
had to
got?
he had to cancel his train and had to drive by car because he also forgot something. And I think it was everything. I think he just went there without everything basically. I don't remember what that was. And now finally he has everything that he needs. And his pedal is breaks. I don't know. Like this guy and Tech is maybe a little bit of a problem. But yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they fixed it.
Granadi, no good teammate. No,
If I
no.
remember correctly, not even that. I don't know if you mentioned it, but when he went to the
For your
boot
nerves.
camp, when he went to the boot camp with Masa for like their like mini big boot camp for like the Trackmania World Tour.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
he forgot.
He forgot something. And they had and like Big had to provide him a wheel a whole setup too. So yeah, homie, what is like? Get your act together.
Imagine
We need to
being his
bring
teammates.
Granadi to
The
the
Bro,
podcast and ask him
Masa
what's
like
going on.
tilting into the next century because of that too.
That-
I'm sure.
You if you have some time, you should go on Twitter and go and find the post
The
where
one post,
I
yeah.
like it.
Granadi is going down to look at his foot pedal. He's taking it apart, looking
That's
at it.
awesome.
For some reason he's laughing and the dead fish the look from Masa. He was just like, bro, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That picture is amazing.
Oof, yeah. I don't know. Whatever. All right. ITB. I want to talk about them because they are an interesting kind of like they're a super interesting duo. You have Mime Elcon. Many
Mhm.
complained about Elcon, saying that Elcon was not ready for TMGL. I completely disagree. I think that Elcon is prone to more mistakes, but overall, there's multiple rounds and especially multiple instances, especially over this weekend, where Elcon was able to actually carry Mime. So to the haters, I think you need to chill. Oh, and on the screen now on our stream, you can now see the meme where Granati is smiling about his pedal being broken, and Masa is literally like, "Bruh."
You
Sorry
fucking kidding me
sorry
now?
for the ones listening to the podcast, not live on Twitch or on YouTube. But yeah, it's pretty easy to find. You just have to go to Twitter and to Big
Yeah,
or
you can go
Granadi's
to
Twitter. Yeah,
Masa's or Granati's. It's Granati. It's on Granati's Twitter, but yeah, it's a work of art. But
it is beautiful.
yeah, but yeah, ITB. Back on that topic. I think Elcon is doing really well for himself. I would
Oh yeah,
be
definitely.
if I was on ITB. The only you know what I would be scared of. I would be scared of my team manager Forever because I feel like anytime they lose, I just see Forever start molding in a certain Discord, and I would like in League of Legends. I don't know if y'all
Kurwa.
know. In League of Legends, there was a meme that for anyone who knows T1 SK Telecom T1 at the time, especially during like their super good years, they had their coach. It was a Korean coach named Keikoma. If you know Faker, the esports player Faker, yeah, that team. So they had a coach named Keikoma, and it was a joke every time that T1 lost. They would say Keikoma's belt, basically saying that the team was getting whacked with the belt every time they lost, and I feel like that's what happens when ITV
Malcolm, why you
loses.
didn't perform?
I feel like Forever just gets out the belt because I kid you not, he's like, why are they trolling? It's so funny.
Gladly for esports, you're not physically next to each other in Trackmania yet.
Mm.
Like maybe on the big stage, maybe they have to be fearful of that, but until they will meet again physically, I think maybe Forever will have got his tempo again.
You know what else?
Oh,
I
shit.
think that people saying like, oh, they are disappointed. Like, dude, it's the first week.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
cannot
it's
you cannot have like full opinion on what team is gonna perform and what's not or what's gonna happen in what is it just the first week, you know?
so
Like in the
it's
middle
a
of the
huge mental
tournament,
game.
yes. Yeah.
Like don't underestimate it. Like obviously Trackmania, you have a lot of practice that goes into it, and it's very skill based. But at high level, it really is like keeping your head straight and it's so like just the mentality behind it. I mean,
Mm.
as in all big sports, of course, there is a big mental part involved in driving as well as you can. But I think it's easy to underestimate how actually hard it is to perform under pressure every single time. And the pressure it doesn't stop. It just gets bigger. And if you start messing up, then that can easily go into your head, and then basically the weekend is kind of ruined. But at least that's why like sometimes you just have bad matches as well. Like just happens. Like sometimes you just have a bad day or a bad weekend. So just because they maybe didn't have the greatest start, I mean they are 1-1, like basically 5 other teams as well.
It could also
So
be that they were just nervous. I mean, Alcon was the
of course
first
they are
time,
nervous. I would
Yeah.
argue basically almost all of the players were probably nervous. Like if you're not nervous during matches, then probably something is wrong. Like not, or you're just doing it since 5 years already. But both Alcon and Mime don't do that. Obviously, Trackmania is getting bigger and bigger. The expectations also rise and everything. Like everything is getting more professional. They get paid. If you get paid for it, obviously there's a lot of pressure, and sometimes on some days maybe that gets into your head and you're nervous, and
I
on
mean,
some days it's just gonna be bad then.
for ITB, the issue is straight up just their tilt factor. It's the reason why they lost their first match. Honestly, their first match was super winnable. They were up 2-0 in their series, and then they got reverse swept for nothing. Um, really, what happened was they won the first 2 games pretty solidly. The third game was kind of, if I remember correctly, third map was kind of a wash. No, wait. Third map was their pick, if I remember correctly, or maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. Either way, third map was kind of a wash, and then the fourth map is a map that they were ahead in, and then they threw super hard, and from then on, it was just a mental boom on their part that they were tied at 2-2, and then they just gave up 2 maps afterwards because they were both tilted. They were making mistakes where
Yep.
they shouldn't have made, and it was just overall just a disaster towards the end. So, but I mean, they fixed it. They got themselves together after Forever got his belt out and started whacking him a couple times. They came into the second match against Big and like stomped him.
Yeah,
Or
I
was
mean
it
that's
Big?
how it
Right?
goes,
It
right?
was Big, right?
It wasn't big, no.
No, wait. Who did they
I
play
forgot
second
who it
game?
was, but
Either way, whoever they Alliance. Yeah, it was Alliance, I think. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
they whipped them, bro. They and Mutta and Soldier is not a easy duo. to play against, and they stomped them. So
It was
Yeah.
a surprise. I actually didn't watch that game, but now that you say the ITV won against Alliance, which is like a favorite, uh, it's it's a
Yeah, it's
surprise.
really
For me,
fucking
it's a
close
surprise.
between all teams. It really is very, very close. So,
Yeah,
which is good because close means good matches.
yeah, entertainment,
That's what we want.
excitement.
really quickly, this yeah, well, I will cut this topic to a close in a second. Where's BDS in this? Oh, there we go. I'm stupid. I'm so blind. My brain.
Are you even
brain.
listening to me?
No.
It's BDS in this. Yeah, well, they are at the top.
They're at the top, but it bothered. You know why I ignored it? Okay, listen. This is why I ignored it. It was because the TMWT graphic has the same color layout. It's the blue and the pink, and BDS just looks like the header rather than the actual team. I'm sorry. I don't know.
yeah.
Happens.
Uh,
But speaking of at the top, do you know who's not at the top anymore soon? Because all of his records are gone soon.
because he's a XDD hacker, cheater. Yeah. So let's talk about it really quickly, or not really quick. I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, Riolu is
It's not too much to talk about that, but definitely worth a mention because it's a lot of fun.
Again, if you lived under a rock, Riolu has emerged back into the spotlight yet again, and no, he has not made a grand return. He has not returned at all. He is still MIA, potentially flipping McDonald's burger somewhere. Where he has been further outed as cheating pretty much all his offline records. They were able to basically determine that every single time he would use his horn, it was bound to his slow mo. And so anytime you heard him use his horn, that he was activating slow mo.
Also, shit went down really bad.
Yeah. So basically, a lot more of his runs were basically proven as rigged. And so now Spammiej has undertaken a community initiative with a couple friends to hunt down every Riolu record that's left in the game and beat it. After 2 days of playing the records, they went from 89 and now there's only 14 records left. That was as of how many hours ago? That was at 1:48 p.m. So that was yeah, so there's around 6 maps left. Around six maps left right now that have a record from Riolu, which is pretty cool to kind of see how, like in a way, there's a bright spot to this. It's really cool to see how much the Trackmania community in general has improved in terms of hunting. Um, Especially considering that they're hunting against somebody who has cheated and used a unfair advantage to get an insane time on these maps. And now you can see that the level of Trackmania in general has raised, especially over the last 2 to 3 years, that within 2 days, now 3 days, there's only 6 records left that people haven't beaten, which is kind of nutty to think about.
There's actually a little bit of
yeah,
just maybe want to give a little bit of insight also because there's also interesting stuff to know around that topic in general because you just said like in this game, but the interesting to know is that the reason that's even known now is because the code kind of has been cracked. So now we know. I mean, I'm saying we, but basically now it's known where the input is stored in replays in the new game and in Trackmania and in the current game, and that was previously not known. So all the cheated records and the cheat and the anti-cheat software and what what was known was only in the old games, like in Nations Forever and the Mania Planet games, and now they basically did the same analytic stuff for the new game. So now it's also known that they cheated in the new game. And the other interesting fact is, Spammiej isn't the first one that did this, because I know that since a couple of months already. There's I think only on Valley though, but there is a Valley server that has all the world records from Riolu on it. And anytime some player beats the world record from Riolu, they remove the map and they continue. Like that, like the project itself and the idea of it has been there already for Valley at least.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love it. Like, fuck off, cheater! We're gonna beat all your records now. I like it. I mean, that's the best way of retaliating against it, right?
It's the best way of saying to ultimately goodbye to this person. Like
Yeah.
the only register that you had on this game that you did something on this game was your world record, was your thing. Well, now we're gonna take that out from you and we're gonna put someone else's in the position that they should be and not you. I
Yep.
think that is a slap on the face,
Yeah.
in the best way.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah, exactly.
I think from my perspective, it's kind of like in hindsight kind of thing too. It for me personally, it places more value on the records that he did online streaming, because those were the records that he actually did get
Wait,
legally.
also those records, like he was horning and all online on stream, and he got the records, and they were all
Yeah, but you
cheater
would be able to
records.
see the slow mo.
He only cheated offline.
Ah,
Yeah, he
okay,
only
okay, okay.
cheated offline. Yeah, but so everything he did offline was cheated, but
Oh,
everything
okay.
but the things he did online were not cheated. So in my opinion, it's like, well, at least he didn't cheat every single thing. At least
Mm.
for the records that he got online,
Make it better.
he got it. Yeah, Riolu apologist, I guess, whatever. But like, no, it's one of those things where it's like, I personally liked Riolu as a streamer, and I liked what he brought as a content creator to Trackmania. Outside of that, though, he's a dirty cheater, and he should be recognized for that. But I'm also a person. This is where I think Trackmania community goes a little bit wacko. I think if it's never going to happen, because I think he would have came back by now. But I'm a person about completely being forgiving of people, especially
Mm.
after they've done wrong. And I think overall the Trackmania community should also be forgiving in some form of way. Like, I think this is perfect. This is how you get him back. You take all his records, take it all away from him, and then if he comes back, he would obviously have to prove himself. He would have to he would never be trusted again. But in my opinion, I think that, like, people should, like, forgive, forget, and move on. Like, I think
I mean,
holding
the first
people,
step into him, into the community to forgive him should be him
making an apology for sure.
making a statement, because he never did it.
Yeah.
Like the moment he got caught, he was like, "Oh, oopsie. Well,
Back in the
goodbye.
packs,
See you
goodbye.
soon." You know,
Yeah.
and he disappeared out of the air. So, it, if he wants, if he ever have the feeling of coming back at first, the first movement that he will have to do is, "Hey, I'm sorry. I did the biggest oopsie and the gaming the gaming scene, um, and then see if the people actually wants him to come back, or him making his name again. But if not, then I for me it's not gonna be welcoming.
Yeah.
It's not a persona non grata.
Yeah, he would have to basically kind of grovel before pretty much everybody, and like have to make right in a lot of ways. But in my opinion, it's like, really, it's none of our decisions. It's really up to Nadeo. If Nadeo wanted to let him back, they could easily let him back. And I think overall, if he were to ever come back, it would be an event of it would be the event ever in Trackmania where I think it would
Yeah.
be I could see Nadio. The thing is, I could see Nadio doing this because it would be a perfect way to get more eyes on the game if you had this amount of drama come back.
The biggest shooter
But
in
yeah, I
history
don't
is
think it's
coming back
happening.
to the game.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Riolu probably has a much. Well, I hope for really Riolu's sake that he has a much more fulfilling life that isn't revolved around gaming, and that he is doing okay, despite being a dirty cheater.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to that talk that topic. I mean,
Yeah.
we all talked about these kind of things back when the real shit happens. I mean, now I think things have been said about it at
Yeah.
all. I frankly don't think he's gonna come back, but if he wants to come back, then well, he has to try. I mean, trust is obviously an issue there, but that's up to Nadeo, of course, in which way and form he may even get a chance or not. But overall, I feel like, well, um, it's up to him. I'm not. We're not gonna forget it, but yeah, well, we will see. It's
Hey,
not
well,
gonna happen anyway. But
Tyler One, in a different light, Tyler One was an extremely toxic player, was perma banned from League of Legends, and then had a redemption arc, and now he's like still one of the top grossing like League of Legends influencers to this day. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that topic. If you didn't know, TM 2020 is going to be released on Steam on February the 2nd. So Steam users rejoice, or maybe not so
it's
much,
actually
considering.
February 2nd.
Yes, it was set on February 2nd.
On the second day in the second month, man, Shorty is liking that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
February 2nd, 2023, you can put it on Steam. But if you think that's your ticket out of getting away from the Ubisoft client, you were sorely misguided. As yeah, it will still open up the Ubisoft client. It will still be handled through a Ubisoft ID. So you're not getting away from it. Ubisoft clients in general, but you can launch it from Steam essentially, which is great overall for the game because it puts it back on the Steam market, and that means more player influx from Steam. As there were a lot of players who that came from Steam from the previous Trackmania games. I think it's good overall. I think it's a good move. I'm very happy. The fact that it took 3 years after is a bit weird, but you know what? Hey, whatever.
Well, that wasn't a deal, but I don't think that wasn't a deal decision, right?
I don't think
Probably
it was
was
an Adio
Ubisoft
decision.
decision. Yeah, so like there's nothing Nadio could have done about that. So, but obviously still it always should have remained maybe on Steam. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot buy standard or club access from
are you
Steam, by the
sure
way.
about that? Because I saw
They
on
just said
Twitter.
they announced it on Twitter that you can't do it.
They did a Q&A on Twitter, innit?
Oh wait,
Yeah.
oh then I misread it because I was thinking of that. Yeah, okay, then I misread it. But okay, well. I mean, it's still good. I mean, it's mainly a marketing move. Obviously, it's good for marketing. It's good to maybe get some people interested in it again, or maybe discover the game through Steam. The fact that you have to get the Ubisoft Connect launcher is, for me, yeah, well, kind of makes sense. I think if you really thought it's not going to be like that, then I don't know. I think mostly that just was how it's gonna be anyway. If it's ever gonna get back to on Steam, then
Yeah.
it would have always been like this.
The good thing is that now when people come to the stream and they're gonna be like, "Oh, where can I download this game?" I can just immediately say, "Yeah, you can download it on Steam," because it
Exactly.
was
It's,
so
it's kind
weird
of
to
like
explain.
sugarcoating things
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit. Yeah, you can get it on Steam. It's fine. Just get it on Steam, and
yeah,
then they're gonna go on Steam. Then they're gonna click the buttons, and then they are like one step closer to already having it anyway. And so they are gonna be more likely to be like, oh well, Ubisoft Connect. Well, if I have to, whatever. Okay, fine. Or I don't know, maybe.
yeah. But before trying to explain where to get the game, oh, you can get it from Ubisoft Connect, or you can get it from the other thing, Epic Game Store. And they were like, which one? I remember when I asked my friend who introduced me to Trackmania where I could get the game, and he was like, oh no, just Google TM 2020 and connecting the accounts and making all this stuff. And I was like, why is this so confusing? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Now, hopefully, with the Steam, it's just one click and you get the game immediately. And you don't have to do anything else
Yeah.
unless you want to buy it. But just having one easy click, one easy access to download the game and play it, I think that is fantastic. It should have been done way before, but uh, people earn their decisions.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Okay, so they had an exclusivity contract with Epic Games earlier. Okay, cool. All right.
Makes
Well,
sense.
yeah, so that's going to happen on February 2nd. That's going to be really cool. We have one more thing to hint. Chris, did you see my production? Did you see my DM in the group chat? That would be really great if you could pull that up. So I
Yeah,
have
so
one thing.
everyone now knows. Hello and thanks to Chris. He's doing the
Everybody
production.
kind of knows it's Chris. I think honestly,
Yeah,
Chris should
true.
probably. I think it would be better if Chris maybe was able to just like be heard.
Hello.
So that
now
when
people can
he-
hear me.
Okay, people can hear him
Wow.
now. So when he
maybe.
interjects, so that
Probably.
when there's awkward pauses, I think it'd be easier so we don't have those awkward pauses that Chris just interjects. He'll be our fact checker. So, Chris, our fact checker. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so, you may or not have seen this tweet that I made a little bit earlier. Hashtag Trackadia isn't dead, just might have a new name and a new face to it, needing a couple things to fall in place, and then we'll spill the beans. I wanted to make sure to include this in our podcast because Evo has been trying our hardest to get Trackadia to happen again. If you didn't know already, Trackadia Hotel or Arcadia Hotels, where we had Trackadia at last year, they are closing their doors down. They're
Sadly.
shutting down operations, sadly, due to insane heating costs and just upkeep costs. They were billed about $250,000 for heating in 1 month during Christmas, and that's ridiculous. That bankrupt literally any hotel. So they had to shut down operations. They laid off their entire staff. Unfortunately, that includes Tim, who was the organizer of the events that reached out to us to help organize the event. But it's not over. We have gotten in contact with the venue who is very interested in taking up where Arcadia has left off. And we are in discussion with them right now to see how that would fully work out. But it would remain in Germany. I'm not going to say we're in Germany, but it'll be a place that's easily easily accessible internationally. It's not going to be Hamburg, unfortunately, because
Aww.
Arcadia was really the only like esports LAN in Hamburg, so it is going to have to move elsewhere. But yeah, so just keep us in your thoughts and prayers as we try to get this worked in. Atomic has been helping me a ton with getting this worked out, so hopefully we'll get something down. Yeah, Bielefeld doesn't exist, so it would definitely not be there. Why would we have it in an imaginary place?
You have to do that one. Oh well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
gonna be
really.
a
I mean,
melee.
obvious. That's like amazing news because I think everyone loved Trackadia. Well, except one guy, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Except one guy, Masa. We know who you are.
No, I
Yeah.
don't. I actually don't mean Masa. Maybe Masa
Oh,
also didn't like it. I don't
wait.
know.
What
But
guy didn't like?
It was
Wait,
yeah,
Rave out on Twitter,
I
who
even
was like
forgot it.
saying, "Oh yeah, it's just a LAN. How was it anything special?"
Oh, was he even there?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, well then who cares?
He's not invited to the
That's
next
what
one
I mean.
either.
I didn't
You
even
were
want.
there.
Yeah, but no, but basically everyone loved it, and I mean, as I've since I've been there, I've also talked a little bit with Tim, not really like specifically, but I think it was obvious that not only we loved it, but also the event, like Arcadia, also loved hosting it. So it's kind of sad that they had to stop business, but Oh well, at least we
Yeah.
can still maybe, hopefully, have Trackadia again at
It,
a different name, different venue. But
it was
it was a great LAN, and it should not, just because of that, it shouldn't stop.
yeah, it was insane. The the positivity surrounding the event from pretty much everybody that attended. The exit survey after everybody attended, 95% of the people said that they would come back next year.
That's a pretty insane number, I would say.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you had multiple streamers, including Spammiej himself, that said they would be interested in attending next year. It seemed like a lot of fun. So I'm looking to see if we
Me
can
too.
say Lamau, everybody get in here. And overall, and like you said, Arcadia themselves loved it. We were the response from the heads at Arcadia was extremely positive. In fact, we were one of their only few profitable events that they had.
It
One of their
was the
profitable
most
tournaments.
profitable event of the year.
It was the most profitable. Oh yeah, well they can hear you now. But yeah, the
Amazing.
so yeah, I think there's if we didn't have another LAN, that would just suck overall because there was an insane momentum that went into Trackadia and then left Trackadia. And I think Trackadia can be huge. I think the biggest thing is getting everybody on board again and saying, yo, it isn't over yet. We are coming. And I think there's a valid way of getting that done. Forever, homie, I'm glad you're here. I don't know if you ever heard my comments about you for TMGL, but I still love you regardless. But like having somebody like Forever, ITB involved, some of the pro teams involved, we're getting it planned. I'm working with Tona to make sure that it's not overlapping with any of the TMWT circuit. So
Okay, that's amazing.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, so we can have everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's pretty important.
so I'm already in contact with Tona. Me and Tona are he's gonna let me know and make sure that it's not overlapping because it's gonna be sandwiched in between the wild card stage and the world championship wild card stage and the world championship itself. Because world championship, I believe, is in October, and really we're just waiting on to find out when the wild card stage is happening because it's either at the very beginning of September or towards the end. And whatever that works out, we can pretty much slot uh, Trackadia V2 in. So there's a lot of moving pieces. There's still a whole lot to do, but one of the hurdles of getting somebody interested is potentially almost out of the way. So we will find out more information once it becomes like official. Like, okay, we're on board. We're gonna do this. Let's go. We'll start teasing really early because I want to get
Because
everything going.
frankly, you like teasing, right?
I love
Basi-
teasing.
Exactly.
Love
That's
teasing.
what I thought.
If you haven't been in Evo long enough, you will know that there's nothing more that gets us going than teasing people.
Especially you.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially
Yes.
Eport.
Oh yes. It gets me happy. All right.
Please,
So
God.
Q&A from chat. It's time. It's time to be heard. We will read out your chat dings. There are 60 people in here. I know chatting do the chatting dings. Let's get a couple questions in here, and yes, you can import me. That works too. But yeah, let's go ahead and get some questions. Otherwise, I'm just gonna start rambling. Ooh, question for line.
I again the same question as last week, and
Oh, it's the same question.
it's the same question. City, come on.
Oh, here's a good question by ProHyor. What are Shorty's expectations for our teams in regional? I'm assuming he refers to Deska and Stuft specifically.
I would hope so, because I have no fucking clue what to expect from Go. Yeah. Sadly, I really would have liked to do more. Like, specifically, I didn't really do much at all because I'm not gonna go into details, but it's sadly struggling. It's hard for me even doing a podcast because just sitting in front of the PC for 1 hour is like 1.5 hours. It's stressful for me, so that's why I'm really not really capable of doing lots, sadly. So I didn't really do any support. I didn't support them the way I would have liked. But I think they are definitely pretty strong. It's the first time they play together at the regionals, so that's of course not easy. I don't know all the contender teams, but I do think we have pretty decent chances at like I don't know. You said Import there are over 100 teams registered already.
Yes.
I feel like it can highly depend, like you said, on the seeding. Like if it's gonna be knockout formats, I don't think there are too many teams that can beat them. Like if they are playing well, they can definitely maybe even win the thing or like get top. But like just skill wise, but result wise, if they have like one unlucky match, getting like the best opponent directly very early on, then they could also go out early. But skill wise, I would definitely say they have very good chances.
The goal for them is to make at minimum the I mean, I know their aspirations are to make it all stars, but the goal at minimum that I have set for them, that because I believe it's completely doable for them, is to make it to promo relegation, because that's the top 8 seeds from EU,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
global points,
definitely.
and I think they are entirely capable of doing so. I think I know there's concern regarding our duo. I know that many people have confidence in Deska. Deska is a fantastic player. I know that there's concerns regarding around Stuffs, because he's very unproven, but Stuffs is very young and he's very moldable. And I think putting him with somebody like Deska, who's very talented and very, very mentally even keeled and supportive of his teammates, I think is a great duo. And Stuffs actually has the pace to keep up with Deska, and in some instances, especially on one or two maps, he has the pace, a better pace than Deska. So I think overall they're a good pair. I mean, we'll have to see once it actually happens, but yeah, I think overall that is good to take note of. The question, what was it? Any opinions on Reddit mods banning Look at My Medals posts? I mean, Chris is a Reddit mod, so technically he was probably part of this decision, a very big part. I mean, it's whatever. I think it's fine. I guess it was spammy. It's like, look at my medals. Oh my gosh, I got the medal here. It's like, okay, cool, bro. Like, get a world record. I don't know, man. Like, everybody can get an
Yeah,
author medal,
I mean,
man.
the new people, of course, get happy when they get medals. I myself, which is last season, I got all the medals. You know, all the 18 medals for the first time. I was happy as hell.
Yeah, that can be
But
that can be in a super thread though.
yeah, but yeah, on a super thread. But no one making a thread just because you got all the medals is like a spam. I think it counts as a spam.
Yeah.
it kinda is. Yeah, like if you it's like it's nice for them, but it's also not really. It's not really content. Like you're not gonna be there and like congratulate every single one doing it. So it's like
Oh yeah.
great for you, and I'm happy that you want to tell people. Obviously, you would want to do that, but from an outsider's perspective, it kind of looks like spam. Like you just scroll through them, you don't even mention them, you don't even like notice them anymore because yeah, well, it's one of those again. You just scroll past. It's not really befitting of like Reddit threads. Like what do it in a mega thread, and that's totally fine then.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Reddit the subreddit actually be a little bit more diverse in content too. I think right now it's just kind of one note, and I think overall, especially with TMWT back in, I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting now. But for longest while, it was just like, look at my run where somebody thinks they did a cut and it wasn't a cut, and it was just like,
Oh,
look at my
that's the
medals.
most annoying
That's
thing.
annoying.
Do you guys think this is maybe a cut?
Yeah.
99% of the time, no,
If you
because
think
it's
it's a
slow.
cut,
But
it's
nice
probably
try.
not a cut. Like
But
like
it's still like to be honest, I still like those because it was interesting. Okay, what does he think now is possible? I
yeah.
like looking at those. To be fair,
Yeah.
I didn't mind them.
True. Question from Insanity TM: will forever be an Evo Dirt mod? That is a no. Because he would just turn my server into nothing but tech dirt and competition dirt, and the dirt server and all our servers are meant to have variety of the said surface and style. So that is a no. I love you forever, still regardless. Well, there was a really good question that I saw somewhere. Can I have an Evo sweater? Chris already answered it, but there's a merch store that will be coming sometime this year. TM. Do you think end of stage 1 there will be a switch of teams, 1 or 2 teams at TMCL that drop out? I would say yeah. I would probably say yeah, because I think there were some duos that could be argued that probably were picked up because a friend brought them up or down, and those duos may not necessarily work out in the way that they think it would. But and I'm not going to name names. I'm just making a general statement. I think overall, I think some of the duos were just kind of slapped together for reasons, and they may not necessarily work out as planned. But
I mean, all of a sudden you had to find a teammate. It's not the easiest task because
Yeah.
obviously everyone and you know you have to find a good teammate on your skill level.
yeah, so that is our opinion, I think.
You
in
missed the
general.
drama forever, by the way. We talked about that at the beginning.
What what?
No, forever said we need drama for the views.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about a bit of drama. It's a small, tiny one.
It's a small tiny
No,
one, but
no. All good, all good. Nothing.
I think we're fine. I mean, I don't think like it has nothing to do with any of the duos, and I really can
Yeah,
point
no,
out a duo. 'Cause
you
I
know,
don't-
we can talk. We can have a talk about that, about the duos and what we think they gonna do well, which ones are gonna keep, which ones are gonna
Last week,
move, and
right?
stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that'll be an interesting conversation to have towards like at the end of the
At
stage.
the end.
I would definitely
yeah, again,
I would
definitely.
definitely love to have that though, because I think that's a perfect time to have that conversation too, because like I don't mind saying, hey, this duo sucked, it's time to get out of here. I mean,
If
for me,
a team sucks, then I think it's fair to say it. I mean,
yeah.
you
Or
don't necessarily have to put it like that, but
or if an
some
org is
people
a
like to put things like that.
or if an org is a total joke and they're just a disgrace to the Trackmania community, they should also see their way out. More news.
Yeah,
at
well, let's
10.
see how that develops in the
Yeah.
next week. I'm
Uh,
I'm definitely gonna take a look.
Do you think the unknown ice bug will be fixed before next campaign? I have no idea what you're talking about, Pro Hort. You know, it's clear
What?
that Hjort, yeah. It's clear that ice is perfectly fine and there's no issues with it. I have no idea what you're insinuating.
Yeah.
Why are so many surprised BDS did good in TMWT and aren't they the players with the most TMGO playoffs? I don't think that's necessarily true across the board, because I think many thought that BDS would do relatively well.
I believe everyone think that each team is gonna do well. Like it's really hard to think one team is gonna perform badly. It is a hard thought to have. Ask Virtual.
Ask
We
virtual
need
vote.
the opinion of Virtual.
We need the opinion of virtual. All right, easy. That's a very easy task because virtual is not very busy and he instantly responds to all of our messages and would be very happy to spend at least 5 hours with us in voice directly now. I mean, it would be interesting to like. I mean, we did talk about it. Maybe we're gonna have 1 or 2 guests in some episodes. So having virtual as a guest would obviously be a very cool idea, and maybe we can do that. Maybe if that works out, but yeah, it's not very easy getting a hand on virtual. I mean, getting him to respond, like talking to him is possible, of course, but we will see. Like he's obviously very busy with a lot of stuff, so he's not gonna say yes to everything and everyone anymore. Probably we will
Oh.
see. Maybe we will try that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the last question that we are gonna take. I mean, there isn't any more questions after that. But yeah, I think overall just BDS, they did really well. I expected them to do well. I think it's just the French effect where it's like the French players are generally good. You just don't know where they're necessarily going to land. Like I think everybody expects the French duos to do well. It's just kind of it's kind it's kind of like face blindness when it comes to like when you see a group of people that look very similar or like in this case everybody has a French flag, so we're just going to use that as the example. When it's kind of face blindness to you, it's all kind of the same. Yes, they're different players, they're all different people, they have different personalities and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but at face value they are all French. And so it's really hard when you come at this like face blindness perspective of like who's going to be better, you don't know. So I think overall that's why maybe some people underrated them, but BDS is perfectly fine. And any of the French teams, if they were to perform way better than everybody else, that's not surprising. And if they were to underperform, that's also not surprising because we just don't know. I think generally we assume they will do well, but yeah, it's hard
I mean,
to
did
tell.
I assume they are gonna do well? Yes. Did I think that they're gonna beat Pack and Carl? No. But it is what it is. It's all you can't always. It's always hard, like having expectations, especially with this new format and everything. So
Yeah.
I didn't have really specific expectations for most teams, apart from the fact that I still think that Pack and Carl are gonna win. But we will see. Maybe not. Maybe BDS is gonna win it because now they are leading.
So
They're late for the first week, so until like 3 more weeks, no one knows.
yeah. True. We'll find out. We'll have more to talk about next week. We've already gone over our time. Thank you guys so much. Really quickly, make sure you tell your friends to watch our podcast. We got a nice decent amount of viewership here. I would love to see more. I definitely think we'll start getting some special guests in here over the next couple weeks. Make sure to check out the link plopped in by Chris there. That's also links to our Spotify and everything. For those listening to Spotify, thank you so much. That's really cool. And your favorite podcast platform. If you're just a podcaster, also make sure to check out us live on Twitch so you can kind of see what we're doing as well. We will try to keep our content as friendly as possible to Spotify, but I think in some instances that it may not necessarily always be possible depending on the subject. So make sure to diversify your portfolio when it comes to your media consumption. But
I
yeah,
think we will be capable of keeping things in a way where it's perfectly fine not having the video, because that
yeah.
should be our goal.
But in case, diversify your portfolio anyways, because I told you to. Yeah. So am I forgetting anything else? Yeah. Well, we'll likely be back sans any issues. Our plan is always to do it every Thursday at 9 o'clock. And so make sure to set your timer, do the thing. We'll be back again next week. Everybody say your goodbyes.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching.
And that is going to be it.
I mean, for listening.
Oh, yeah. Deuces. Bro.
You don't